this week's chapter of One Piece, the Straw Hat Pirates are finally reunited on the animal island of Zou. But where is Sanji? They are really keeping this whole Sanji thing secret. What we can learn from this week's chapter is that Sanji was not captured, he apparently left of his own volition, and he left a note. Why are we not reading that note aloud right now? Despite the fact that we're really not learning too much about what happened to Sanji, this was still an incredibly exciting chapter of One Piece, which had a lot of funny panels. All of the different animals and people of the island of Zou are also distinctive and amazing in their own special way. Especially that first big panel where they're hanging out and partying with the Straw Hat Pirates, and they cannot control themselves. They have to constantly sniff and bite the other members of the Straw Hat Pirates because it's just in their animal instincts. It leads to some fantastic and some uncomfortable funny scenes, especially this one with Brook where he's constantly being attacked by these dog minks, because since he's a skeleton, they're dogs, they're obsessed with chewing on bones, he's a walking skeleton, you do the math. The big thing to take away from this chapter is this flashback sequence we get, where the other half of the Straw Hat crew is running away from Big Mom and her giant singing ship, which, God, I cannot wait to see what that thing is going to sound like in the anime version. It's going to be funny as hell. But they're getting attacked by her group as well as that other supernova by the name of Capone Beige, the guy who's based on Al Capone. But luckily, through the powers of Brook and Sanji, they are able to deflect their attacks back at them and make a quick escape to the island of Zou. And this is when Sanji mysteriously just decided to disappear. Why, I'm not really sure. You'd think he'd want to stick around on an island full of hot furry girls, but then again, Sanji probably has bigger fish to fry, and this is probably going to be an arc which heavily involves him and his backstory, and frankly, I can't wait to see that unfold. The other big things about this chapter is we get to learn a little bit more about the hierarchy of the Mink tribe and how they work. Apparently, they have two different kings, one for day and one for night. Inu-Arashi and Neko-Mamushi. The facts that their names are Inu and Neku leads me to believe that these two kings are going to be a cat and a dog. One of the biggest surprises from this chapter was probably getting to see our first major villain of the Zou arc, who appears in the final panel of this week's chapter, who is this giant talking mammoth, who I believe is probably a zone type user, using an ancient zone type, very similar to Drake's, who has the Tyrannosaurus Rex type. So this is going to be a very old school, super powerful devil fruit, if that is actually what it is. And they are desperately looking for Raizo of the Wano Kingdom. So what's up with that? Why are they so important to the Mink tribe? There's still so much mystery, but at the same time, you're just going to get wrapped up in all of the amazing artwork and character designs in this week's chapter. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? This was a fantastic read right here with some great artwork. Unfortunately, we're not getting too many answers from Sanji. They mention in passing that he left a note and that's about it, but still I'm sure that's going to become very important later on. The good news is this chapter has some fantastic artwork and really plays to the strength of Oda, which is he can create these amazingly enduring and crazy looking characters, and the fact that they're now half human, half animal just allows him to go even nuttier with their designs. What I really love is just getting to see all the different animal types, and they firmly establish that the Mink tribe is actually going to be like all mammal species. There aren't going to be any reptiles or amphibians, so unfortunately, we're not going to see any lizards, snakes, or turtles. Instead, we're going to get pandas, goats, and this very attractive looking squirrel girl. But without a doubt, the best thing about this chapter really is just the comedy, and just getting to see all of the Straw Hat Pirates hang out with the various members of the Mink tribe, who are just all so ridiculous and adorable. In fact, Chopper himself seems like he is right at home. He practically is a member of the Mink tribe. I also want to mention the cover story in this week's chapter of One Piece, something that I rarely talk about, but I really liked this one because it sort of goes back to the old days. We get to see Zoro and his old students and instructors, some of which who are now a little bit older, are actually training these young students, and I love the fact that they all cover their eyes with tape so that they can be more like Zoro. That's a really nice touch. So yeah, pretty simple chapter, but one that had some amazing artwork with some pretty big information. The fact that there are two kings for the island of Zou is a little strange. We're gonna have to learn a little bit more about the history of this island and where it truly came from. I wonder if Zou actually started out as like a normal small elephant and eventually grew into a much larger one as its history went on and it became this giant island. where exactly did the Mink tribe even come from? Like, there's just so much rich explanation which could be going on in the next couple of chapters. Not to mention we have the introducing of some villains, we have Sanji who's completely missing, and we have all of these new characters who are constantly being introduced to us at a lightning pace. I still believe that the character of Raizo is still going to be very important, and I really cannot wait to see what this character is all about because I think ninjas are really freaking awesome, and I would just love to see a ninja on the Straw Hat crew. As ridiculous as that actually sounds, I think it's about time that we got a new official member for the Straw Hat crew, and there are a ton of candidates on the island of Zou. They're all so amazing. Hell, I would love to see Wanda join the crew. So definitely check out this week's chapter of One Piece. It's a fantastic read with some great character artwork, lots of funny moments, and a few revealing details, but a lot of those details are still being kept in the dark. So curl up, drink some monkey wine, and enjoy this week's chapter of One Piece. I really enjoyed it, especially for the creative artwork, so I'm going to give this week's chapter a 4 out of 5. I'm really enjoying the Zou arc thus far. I love the creativity and the mystery behind all of it, and I can't wait to learn a little bit more about that giant mammoth. I do believe that actually is going to be Jack, and that's going to be his devil fruit power to transform into either a half-man or a half-like mammoth-type creature. I think that would be really freaking awesome. We need to see more of those ancient zone-type devil fruits. If it were up to me, we'd have a whole arc just about all of these guys where people are transforming into dinosaurs and stuff. That would be pretty freaking cool. But that's a discussion for another day. I really love this chapter right here, but I would love to hear from you guys. Did you read this week's chapter of One Piece? What did you think about it? Do you have a favorite member of the Mink tribe? Maybe a favorite design? What's the deal with Sanji? Why did he leave a note and just skip town? Does this have something to do with his past or something sporadic that's going on? And what's the deal with that giant mammoth at the end? Is that connected to Jack in any sort of way? Do you literally think it's just a giant, talking, woolly mammoth? Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section below and what you hope to see from the rest of the One Piece manga series. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews and our weekly podcast show, which frankly kicks a lot of ass, my friends. Make sure to check that out and download the show for free at Rogue Intel and at iTunes. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!